and you're all going to come back in. I'm going to hit share screen, and I'm going to go here. And we have our Morse code, and we did take a look at this some time ago. And the Morse code, we said, is a binary tree, and things were put on here for a reason. E was put where it was for a reason. T was put where it was for a reason. And at the time, what code writers did was they figured, let's take a look at what's the most common letters. And we even wrote a program to do that. What was it, a Midsummer Night's Dream or something? And then we counted the letter frequencies, and we saw that such and such a letter occurred so many times and so many times. Well, imagine having a gigantic file, a textbook, a gigantic book, and you went through and you did it for all of it, and you start looking at the letters, and you may come up with something that looks like this. So in the old days, when I would say, okay, I want to write something in Morse code, let's see. So how about we write Morse, just Morse, okay? So going down the left side, you see we have dots. Going down the right side, we have dashes. So what would the first M be? So for Morse,
dash.
in Morse code, it's going to be dash, dash, okay?
Dash, dash.
Right, and then a space, and then O is dash, 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 and R is dot, dash, dot. S is dot, 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 and E is just a dot.
Dot.
Okay, so we got that. I'm going to come back over to my screen, and I wrote it out. M-O-R-S and E. Okay, now if I got ready and I started taking a look at this, we could decode it. And the reason we can decode it is because we know to start counting dash, dash, and then there's a space. Dash, 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 there's a space. Dot, dash, dot, a space, 3 dots, a space, and a dot. Okay, so it's immediately decodable. All right, that's some terminology I have up here. It's immediately decodable. And the second thing we're going to talk about is what's its length. Well, let me see. There are 5 characters. And if I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 divided by 5 is 3.1. So on average, if I said there was going to be 10 letters in this message, you would say, well, the average right now is 3.1. There would probably be 31 characters that I'd have to have to get this message out. Well, what's the one thing that takes up a lot of room here? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, the spaces. Seems like I have extra room with the spaces. Well, what I'd like to now do is figure out a way, and we're going to use these things called Huffman codes, that 1 will eliminate spaces, and 2 will still be immediately decodable, and 3, the expected length can hopefully even be smaller than 3.1 because I'm not going to have any spaces in it. Right? So, you get into all this code breaking and encryption and all of those things, and, that'd be kind of cool. So if I just looked at Morse code and took the spaces out, I can't decode that, right? Because I would have dash, 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 5 dashes in a row. And for all I know, that could be whatever a dash is, or it could be 3 dashes and 2 dashes. So there's lots of different combinations of what it could be without the spaces. But I want to be able to take a look at this and say, hey, what if I'd like to do it without the spaces? Okay, so we're going to go back to what we did with our letters, and we did the frequency count. And say we went through and we just had 5 letters, and our letters just happened to be, if I look up above, M, O, R, S, and E, I think E might be the most popular. S, R, O, and M just happened to work out that way. So imagine we had our own language, and the only letters we had in our language were, and this is abbreviated versions, not all 26, but imagine these were the only letters we had in our language, E, S, R, O, and M. Okay, and we went through and did our letter frequencies, and we said, whoa, man, I start adding these up and I get a total and I divide it, and all of a sudden I say, wow, E, that comes out nice because E shows up 40% of the time. And S is pretty good. It shows up 20% of the time. And R is pretty good. That shows up 15%. And so does O. That shows up 15% of the time. And then finally, M would show up how many percent? You're math geeks.
60.
No. What's 40 and 20 and 15 and 15? What's 40, 20, 15, and 15?
It'd be 10%.
Not, yeah, so the M's going to have to show up 10% of the time. Okay, so knowing that, I know my frequencies. Now, what I want to do is I want to be able to build a system of dots and dashes like Morse code. And when I do it, I'd love this 3.1 to be smaller, and I'd love it to be immediately decodable. And here's how we do it. We start with the smallest percentages, and we're going to work our way up building a binary tree. So I'm going to start with M, and I know that that's 0.1. That's 10% of the time. Now I'm going to take that M, and I'm going to add it with the next smallest. And if I take a look at this, what's the next smallest? Well, I have a choice here, R or O. Which one would you like to use? Nobody has
perhaps?
O, okay. So let's do O, and I'm going to put its percentage beside it, which is 0.15, and I'm going to connect these two. Okay, I connect those two. Now, I took care of this 10, and I took care of the O, and those two together give me a 25%. That combination, that subtree, gives me a 25%. Okay, so far so good? All right, so now when I look at my list, what are my next two smallest? Well, here's a 25. Yeah, the S and the R. So over here, I'm going to put the S, which is fine, 0.2, and the R, which is 0.15. And I'm going to combine the two of those. Okay, so these guys actually combined and gave me a 35%. Now, with what I have left, what are my smallest? Well, E is 40, this pair is 35, and this pair is 25. So I'm going to put these two guys together, which now gives me a 60. And I have my E, which is 40. So now I'm going to take my E out here and combine it with that left subtree. So what I did is I kind of made a funky looking subtree that is a binary tree. And what I'm going to do is just like in the Morse code example we saw, my lefts are zeros, 0, 0, 0. And my rights are 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Okay, so now I've come up with a new Morse code. If I take a look at E, zeros were dots, ones were dashes. But if I look at E, what number represents E? To go from the root down, it looks like just 1. What number represents S? Well, here's S, 0, 1, 0. R,
0, 0, 0.
now out here's R, 0,
0,
1, 1. Yeah, 0, 1, 1.
I thought the nodes were zeros.
Oh, no, they're just nodes. Understandable. What is O? Here's O. If I come down the path, what do I get for O?
0, 0, 1.
0, 0, 1. and finally M.
0, 0, 0.
Good. Okay, so now if I went through and I made up a word, let's see, I'm going to make this up. You're looking at that combination of zeros and ones, which we would call dots and dashes. And you notice, unlike Morse code, you know, if I did zeros and ones up here, whoop, that's a 0, excuse me. 1, 0, 1. I still had that space between. But now I took out the space because I want to be able to code it a little more efficiently. I want to code it without the spaces, but I also want it to be immediately decodable. So let's start with our first thing, expected length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 divided by 5, 2.6. Is that better than our 3.1?
Of course.
Yep, it's better than the 3.1. Is this guy immediately decodable? Well,
Yes.
let's see. I have a 0. That's none of those. I have a 0,
But
0. That's none of the. I have 3 zeros. So I'm going to say, yep, that in fact became the N. I start again. 0, nothing. 0, nothing. 0, 0, 1. That's something. There's the O. 0, 1, 1. That was something. That gives me the R. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to get the S next with 0, 1, 0. And finally the E. Okay, so let me see if you can decode this. Can you decode that, what that word is?
REM.
Remorse.
Remorse. Yeah, I'm going to end up with remorse because I go 0, 1, 1 is the R. Then I start and I get, and I just keep going all the way across for remorse. Remorse. R-E-M-O-R-S-E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 divided by 2, 4, 6, 7. Nice. That's 2.37. 2 and 3/7. So that's a little even a bit better than that because we know the E should be coming up frequently in our made up language. All right, so let's try another one.
Isn't this how most files are zipped, by the way?
Not sure. Sounds good to me though, because you want to minimize room and start to eliminate.
Yeah, I think they do it by just basically doing this and then putting in the binary tree to help it decode.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Yep. Okay, so if you went back to that letter frequency program from a long time ago, give me the top 8 letters. Or let's say we're learning Hawaiian, pidgin. You know, if you look at your words in Hawaiian and you don't have a lot of letters like in some languages. So give me a list of letters. Give me about 6, 7, 8 of them.
Like random letters.
Yeah.
Z.
Z, thanks. That's always a good one to start with.
E.
G.
Q.
Q. Good. A. I know this is really
L.
tough. T, L, 2, 4, 6, and W. You guys went crazy. So now I need some percentages. And I know that I need these percentages to add up to 100%. And I don't care what order you give them to me. We just need them to add up to 100. So what's the most popular?
Z and Q add up.
You want to make
5%.
Z 25%, Q 25%. Keep going.
Let's make G like 10%.
G is 10%.
That's 60, and we have 40 more. We can
Yep.
make all of them 20%. Or 10, 10,
Well, that would get kind of boring if we kept doing tens and tens. Let's do
Or
another. Let's do
5%.
a 15, a 10, a 10, and a 5. Okay? Now,
Yeah.
if I said to you, I want you to make a Huffman tree with these letters, would you all have the same Huffman tree?
None.
Yes.
No.
Why?
No. I mean, your very first choice is, do I want to put W
Okay.
with, well, I have 3 choices what to put W with. You know, I can pick any of those 3. And then after that, you know, that becomes a 15. And I could even put W and L, or I could put L and W. So for somebody to cipher this would have to be really, I don't know if they could or not. But without this key, it would be kind of difficult to break the code. Okay, so let's build a Huffman tree. Give me 2 letters to start with.
Wow.
Well, it's got to be W is one of them,
Ed.
correct? W and
L.
L, since they sit beside each other. And this is a 0, 5. This is a 1, 0. So those 2 are going to combine to give me a 15. Okay, so these 2 give me a 15, and I can make notes over here if I want. What do I have to have next? Which 2?
10 and 10.
Yeah, I think G and T. Now, which order do you want them? You know, I don't know. So one of the things that we could also do is inside of this circle, we could put the 15 so we know what's there. Okay, now I want to, so I took care of the L, I took care of the W. I'm going to do the G and the T. The G is going to give me a 0.10, and he's done. And the T is going to give me a 0.10. So these 2 give me a 0.20. So there's that and that. Okay, what would be the next 2 that I have to combine? Well, let's see. I have a 25, a 25, a 15, a 15, and a 20. What would have to be combined next?
A and what's that one right there? I think it's G.
A with W and L,
Oh,
because W and L are already combined. So now I need to come over here and do A with W and L, which will give me a 30. So 0.15. So that's gone. So what would I now have to do? Or what could I do? Well, here's a 30, here's a 20, 25, and 25. Which 2 do you want to combine?
G and T with that.
Well, I think I'm going to take a Z or a Q, one of those, and combine it with GT. Which one do you want to put?
Maybe Q.
Q? That's fine. Q is a 0.25. And when I combine it here, I'm going to get a 20 and a point. So now I have a 0.45. Okay. So I took care of Q. What do I have left? I have the 30, I have the 45, and I have the 25. Who's the 25 have to go with?
30.
Yeah, the 25 is going to have to go with the 30. So I needed to make some extra room here. So now the Z is going to go here with its great 25-ness. And I'm going to combine it with the 30 so that this now becomes 0.55. Combine it here, and I get my 1. Oh, sorry, it got a little sloppy there because I had to keep rearranging. All right, so down my lefts are zeros. 0, 0. Down my rights are 1s. All right, let's see what we have. We have Z is what? 0, 0. We have G. Here's G. 1, 0, 0. We have Q. Q's over here, 1, 1. We have A. A is here, 0, 1, 0. We have T, 1, 0, 1. Oh boy. We have L, 0, 1, 1, 1. And we have W, 0, 1, 1, 0. How's that sound?
Cool.
Okay. So now I want to make up a word. It's probably not going to be a real word in case you were wondering. And it's going to go
Maybe
something.
Walt.
Wonka. What'd you say?
Walt.
Waltz. Actually, that's what I was just going to do. Thanks. You stole my thunder. How about guess what? It's not a real word. So I just wrote 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 5 ones, 2 zeros, a 1 and 2 zeros. Hopefully you can see that a little bit.
Machine language.
Machine language. And hopefully we all get the same thing, meaning it's immediately decodable. And then once we check that out, we're going to see what's the average length. First letter, I got a 1, which means it's either G, Q, or T. Then I have another 1 that tells me that first letter is Q. I have a 0, a 1, a 1, and a 0. What's the next letter?
Boy, you.
I got a W. Next letter,
T.
like T. The next letter, it's not Z. It's not A.
Oh.
I'm guessing L, yeah. The next letter, I don't have to go far, it's Q. The next letter, I don't have to go far, it's Z. And finally, the last one looks like a G. Immediately decodable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 5, 7, 11, 14, 18, 20 divided by 7. We're at average length of less than 3 again, which is still pretty good. Okay. Huffman codes. Happy, not happy?
Yeah, these are cool.
Yeah, I think these are cool. Yeah, I agree. If you have the NIOF book, and if you go to page 838 in the NIOF book, oh, I have the answers in there. I need to cover up the answers. And you were given the Huffman code and you looked at number 2 and it's immediately decodable. What would you get? Well, it looks like it's a whole bunch of zeros to start. First letter, or are you still trying to find it?
T.
B, yeah. In fact, what's the first word? Little Michael Jackson.
Bad.
Bad, yeah. Because I'm bad. Oh, sorry. Second one?
dead.
Yeah, it's dead. You know, jump to the fourth one. I think you're starting to get this. You got the idea.
CAD.
CAD is the third, and the fourth one would be
BEAD something.
ED. Yeah, beaded. It would in fact be beaded. All right, and if you look over on page 839, if you wanted practice, you could do the Huffman code for 7. You could do the Huffman code for, well, instead of letters, you notice the one down below, it's for words. And you could construct a giant binary tree with those words. And, you know, you could have zeros and ones that represent different words on there. It's kind of funny because those words sure look like terms we might use in computer science. Any
It'll be different
questions?
for numbers.
Any questions? Okay, section 15.2. A lot of me talking today, not a lot of you typing. Section 15.2 is it's called tree balancing. And we've heard the term tree balancing before. And if I do a quick example and say, oh, okay, we did have terms. One term was a complete tree. One term was a balanced tree. And if I demonstrated this, I would say, is that complete? And your answer would be yes. It's filled in from top to bottom, from left to right. And if I said, is it balanced? You would say, okay, I remembered complete. I remember he said something about balance, but I'm not sure what it was. Is this a balanced tree? Well, a balanced tree is the difference in the height of the left to the height of the right of a node. So if I start with this node, what's the height of its left? 1, 2, minus the height of its right, 1. If I took a look at this guy, its left minus its right, 0, 0, 0, 0. Is it balanced? Yes, because what are the three numbers I need to have there? I need to have either -1, 0, or 1. If I looked at this tree, is it balanced?
Oh,
1, 2, 3. Yeah, this guy right here is a 2. So he's a problem. Okay. And then I could go through and fill out. But as soon as I see a 2, I know I have a problem. Well, this is where an AVL tree comes into play. And it's called AVL. It's named for Adelson, Velsky, and somebody else, Landis. Adelson, Velsky, Landis. Now on the test, you're going to see some names. Adelson, Velsky, Landis. You're going to say, oh, they're known for balancing a tree. You're going to see a couple of other names on the test. So when you're going through these books and you're reading about it, and all of a sudden you see the two Russians, Adelson, Velsky, and Landis, you need to relate that to tree balancing. Okay. Now, what do you mean need to relate that to tree balancing? Okay. So I'm going to start to fill in a tree, and we're going to see what happens when this tree becomes unbalanced. Now, we're going to get through about 3/4 of what we need here. And then I'm going to go because I think we as a class would need about 20 hours in a war room putting all kind of examples on the board to really understand the in-depthness of this before we would even start to think about trying to program it. So if we were in the classroom, I'd have all these cards, that 3x5 cards that we'd be taping to the wall and trying to use those, but we don't have that luxury. So I'm going to try to do it by hand. And if you want to try and follow along in the book, it's on page 843. And we're going to take a look at filling a tree and keeping it balanced. Why do we want to keep it balanced? Which tree would be quicker to search? This tree or this tree? Well, clearly the one that's balanced is going to be the one that's quicker to search. So as we add items to our tree, we're going to work on balancing it. All right, let's start with our first state. And like I said, again, we're going to get to a certain point and I'm going to say, I quit. Rhode Island. I'm going to put him in and I am happy. If I said, what's his balance factor? You'd say 0. The next state I'm going to put in is PA. If I said, what's Rhode Island's balance factor? You tell me 1, because it's 1 minus 0, and PA is 0. Okay? And again, PA goes to the left of Rhode Island. We are so happy. Now I'm going to add Delaware to the mix. Now when I put in Delaware, what happens? Well, this becomes a 2, this is a 1, and this is a 0. So now that I have a balance factor of a 2, positive 2, and again, we'd have to keep doing this over and over and over to find patterns. I have a 2, which means I know it's over here. I'm going to do a rotation, and this is called a right rotation, because what I'm going to do is keep this where this guy is going to be still a binary tree. The lefts are going to be smaller than their parents. The rights are going to be bigger than their parents. So what I'm going to do is a rotation right here. I'm going to rotate it around. So now PA is the root. Delaware is still to the left. And now Rhode Island is to the right. So I did, because of the positive 2, a right rotation. Looks pretty easy, right? So far, so good.
Yeah, with 3 minutes.
Balance factor 1, 0, 0. Search factor, I can find it in 1 or 2 moves versus 3 moves because of the way I set it up. All right, the next state they want me to add, Georgia. And you're going to have to do this on the final, folks, just so you know. Balance factor, what's PA? 1. What's Delaware?
1.
Actually, Delaware is a 0 minus 1. So Delaware is a negative 1. So we're okay with that being a negative 1. Okay. Georgia is 0. Rhode Island is 0. All right. So I added Georgia. That really didn't hurt me. Next thing I'm going to add is Ohio. Ohio is going to go to the left of PA, to the right of Delaware, to the right of Georgia. And we have problems. Why? Because this now becomes a positive 2. This is a negative 2, 0, negative 1, and 0. So now I'm going to have to do a rotation. This time, we're going to rotate down here on the negative 2. So again, what's the pattern for when to rotate? Here's a positive 2. I went to its left and rotated right. Here's a negative 2. I'm going to go to its right and rotate left. I don't know if this positive 2 up here is going to mess me up or not, but I'm going to start with a rotation here and put Delaware to the left of Georgia and Ohio to the right. So now I'm going to do a rotation here. I'm going to have PA at the top. I'm now going to have Rhode Island still on the right. Georgia got rotated up. Delaware got rotated to the left, and Ohio came along. And if I check it out, this guy has a factor of 2 minus 1. That's a 1, 0, 0, 0, and 0. So by doing these rotations as I insert things, it makes it easy for me to search the tree. Everybody still good?
Yes.
All right. The next one that we're going to load in is Massachusetts. Left of PA, right of Georgia, left of Ohio. Let's check out our balance factors. Now PA has a balance factor of 2. Georgia is -1. Delaware is 0. Ohio is 1. Massachusetts 0. Rhode Island 0. So now I have a problem with my PA being a 2. So what's going to happen now? This is where it gets kind of crazy. So when I had a 2 earlier, I did a right rotation. But having the 2 now, it's going to get really odd because I need to come all the way down here to do my rotations. In fact, I'm going to do a left rotation followed by a right rotation. So this guy was a right rotation way over here. That was the first type we had. This guy was a left rotation over here. Now, for some reason, you know, here I had a 2. Here I had a 2 and a -2. Here I have a 2 and, you know, I keep going down. But for some reason here, we're now going to do a left rotation and then a right rotation. And of course, our fourth choice later would be a right-left rotation. So I have 4 different types of rotations to deal with. My thing is trying to figure out which one to do when. I understand the concepts of how they're doing this to balance it, but what's the triggers is what, as I said earlier, we'd have to spend 20 or 30 hours working on. So let's see, I'm going to do a left rotation and then a right. So that means I'm going to be bringing stuff up here, and then I'm going to be moving some stuff over here to rotate it around. So let's see, with my left, I'm going to get ready and I'm going to move these guys around. So Ohio is now going to sit here. Okay. So far, so good. Ohio is going to move up to here. And then I have Georgia is still over here. I'm trying to make sure you can see it on the screen. I'm still going to have Delaware here. Massachusetts, which was a left child of Ohio, is now going to become a right child of Ohio. Okay, still with me? Up here is PA. Down here is Rhode Island. So I took care of the left rotation. Now I'm going to do a right rotation. I'm going to move Ohio up to the top. Now, when Ohio moves up to the top, what happens to Massachusetts? Well, it can't stick there with Ohio, so Massachusetts is going to have to go to the right of Georgia. Ohio goes up. Georgia stays as the left child of Ohio. Massachusetts becomes a right child. Delaware is still a left child. PA, Rhode Island. Rhode Island stays as the right child. So let's see if I have Ohio. Okay. Georgia is smaller. That's fine. Massachusetts, or Delaware and Massachusetts.
So for like after the left turn, we would need to somehow make like a special case to make Massachusetts the right child of Ohio, because normally that wouldn't be the case.
Right, right. So right now, Ohio is here. That becomes the key. Ohio is now going to become the king. And I don't know if it has to look at patterns of numbers or the in-depthness of this. We're just trying to get the overall concept of, as I add things to this binary tree, I can make it balanced instead of, you know, having long left side or long right side. So
That
somehow,
looks,
go ahead.
so that looks really fun to code. You'd have to like forcefully assign it to Ohio because you couldn't just use like the normal assignment function then.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
depend on the order of the words you put in.
Right, right. So this Ohio moved up, and the tricky thing was Massachusetts, which was a left child, had to become the right child down here because Georgia became the left child. So it did a left rotation followed by a right rotation, and now we're balanced again. You know, if I looked at the order, if I was searching for Massachusetts, it's less than Ohio, so I come to here. It's greater than Georgia, so I would come to there. Everything on this left side is less than Ohio. Everything on the right side, PA and Rhode Island, are on the right side. So the rotations get really tricky, like I said, especially when I start here and Massachusetts is a left child of Ohio, but when I do the rotation, Massachusetts becomes the right child of Ohio. And then Ohio gets rotated up, so now Massachusetts moves to become the right child of Georgia. So these two Russians must have spent a long time trying to figure it out, what's going on. And if you continue on the next 2 pages, you start to see, you know, we did a right, we did a left, we did a left, right, we did another. I mean, there's an example that comes up of a right, left as well. Easy? Nope. Do they try to describe it a little bit more in this book? Yeah. Do we have the time to really, really, really dig into this? No, not really. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do another example. Like I said, you're going to have to do something like this on the test. And let's just take a bunch of letters and can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. I had bumped something on my headset and I didn't know if it was working or not. So I'm going to give you some letters. And what I want you to do is to build a tree from it. And I'm going to use SPECIALTY. It's an example from the book. Luckily, it's nice because it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 unique letters. Okay. I'm going to pause the recording and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to start on it and see what you can come up with. All right, let's start with the word specialty. I have an S. Woohoo! Partial credit, right? P, where does the P go?
The left.
To the left. So far, so good. I have a balance factor of 1. I have a balance factor of 0. Where does the E go?
It goes to the left.
To the left of P. So I got the S, the P, and the E, but S has a balance factor of 2. I need to do that rotation. I need to do a right rotation because this guy has a balance factor of 2, which means P is now at the top, E is my left child, and S is my right child. Balance factors are good, 0, 0, 0, in fact. My next letter is C. It goes to the left of P. It goes to the left of E. I is my next letter, goes to the left of P. It goes to the right of E. Balance factor, 2 minus 1. This guy is a 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. We're all good with our balance factors. Again, the balance factors are -1, 0, and 1. All right, so now it becomes tricky, right? We're going to add the A to the left, to the left, to the left. All right, I have my P now has a balance factor of 2. My E has a balance factor of 1, 1, 0, 0, and 0. So now I need to do something, right? I'm going to have to do what kind of rotation?
Right.
A right rotation? So,
If you move the E around.
okay, hang on 1 second. I need to go close the door for the house. I'm back. Somebody has to have it. What is it?
I.
The
Or
I?
like if you replace, rotate the E and take place of P.
So you want to rotate the E up, which will take place of the P. So I'm doing this in pencil,
Yes.
okay? If I rotate that up, where will the I go?
It'll become the right child of C.
It'll become the right child of C. But if E goes up as my root, where should I be?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because I should actually be to the right
The
of
left
it.
of P.
So I need to do a prep rotation before I rotate up. What's that prep rotation going to be?
Should we rotate I where E is?
You want I where E is,
And then we make I where P is.
and then, so you want to get I up to the top. Tell me what your tree looks like. What's at the top? Row 1.
Like the final, or
Yeah. After your rotations, what did you get?
I guess it would be like I
Next
and
row?
then E, P,
Okay.
and then C.
E and A.
Okay. What's after C?
It would just be, oh, after C would be S. Would be S next to P,
S is to the what of P?
to the right of P.
Okay. And
And then we have A.
then we have A. Okay. What's the balance factor for E?
Oh yeah, it's still
Oh.
2.
Yeah.
Well, could we rotate the C in there?
Yeah. So if you did it and you got the C up and the E down so that it would be C, A, E, then we would be good.
Mhm.
So how did we do something like that?
Left, right,
A
right.
left. Yeah, well, it's one of those other 4
Yeah.
choices. It's either a left, a left, right, or a right and left.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So again, this is a balanced tree. I'm okay with that. Everything's good. Is this the answer? I don't know. You explain to me how we get there, and then we'll all be happy. I have a lot of smart people in this class. So is it down here? Before I did a right or left, right, should I be doing a right, left? Should I be,
What if we just rotated the C like to the right?
the C to the right?
Then how would you get I all the way up there?
Or would it be balanced if we just put the C where E is?
And then you're moving E to the left of C?
The P will still be unbalanced.
Wouldn't the P be like 1?
What did you, yeah, but will the parents be,
3 minus 1, that's 2.
will it still follow my balanced left to right? Like if I switch C and E, if I put C up here, shouldn't E be to the right of C?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Vasily's trying to show me something. I need to click on him. And sorry, Vasily, it comes up blurry. Tell me what your final result is. Was it this ICPAES? He's not telling me. So if I go back to, heck, I don't even remember where it was before. I have notes everywhere. If I go back to here, and I had this ugliness, okay? And again, this is me thinking, hey, I wonder if, when these guys did this, did they look at every possible tree and say, uh-oh, look at this format. This is the one where I'm going to have to do the left rotation, which moved Ohio up, and then the right rotation to move Ohio over there. So I'm looking at right now, here's PA. What's the next largest less than PA? The next largest less than PA would be the Ohio. Agreed?
Yeah.
Because, Ohio is bigger than Georgia, it's bigger than Delaware, and it's bigger than, so it would be the node without any right children. And again, that's the one that I keyed on. I moved that one to the left and then up. Where am I at here? I think I got this I is going to be the next one. So that I's got to get up there. So it's going to be a left rotation and then a right. But if I do the left rotation, so P is still here, S is here. I know I want to get that I up because my left side is messed up. This is going to become I, okay? So far, so good. Now, what's going to be to the left of I? So if I rotate that up,
I would assume E.
to the left of it is going to be E. Then we got the C and we got the A, and we have ourselves a real mess. Okay? ECA. So I'm wondering if I rotate the I up, and then I'd still have to do another rotation after that. Oh, that was a good thought. But the I's got to go up. Now, one of the things we did over here was we had Massachusetts was the left child, and we ended up turning it into a right child. Can that come into play over here? Well, I didn't have any left or right children of E. So now I'd have to figure out, okay, so I want the I to go up. And again, like Brandon said, once the I is up, the P and the S are to the right, and then I'd have the ECA to the left, something along those lines. But it still wasn't balanced. It's good I did this in pencil. So let's see. I know you keep showing me, Vasily, but I can't see it. So if I'm sitting here right now on this left side, what would you like to rotate? Because remember, I can do a rotation and a reconnect.
Oh, we're still doing the A problem. I would just rotate left from the E point.
Rotate left from, so you're moving C up. So let's see. He wants to move C up. So doing a left rotation. If C comes up, what do I have? A would be here. E would be here. I would be here.
That was not what I intended, but okay.
Okay. So according to that, I rotate around, and yeah, I don't have, because that would be the right rotation on C. What if I just did this? What if I do a right rotation on E, but make E's right child become what was rotated around P and become its left child? So if I do E, okay, I'm going to detach its right child. And when I get to P, it's going to become the left child. How'd that work out?
It works, but
Because remember what we did over here. We were doing this, and when we got ready to do the right rotation, we had to detach the left child and turn it into a new right child. And then when I rotated again, I had to take the right child and detach it to make the left. So when I do the rotation up here, I'm coming down to the C. I do a right rotation on E, moving it up. I took its right child and detached it and made it P's left child. Do we like it?
so everything would be flipped then if we did the other rotation. So like just replace all the lefts with the rights and so forth.
Yes, yes. So all I really needed to do here was a left rotation, but I had to figure out a way. When I did it, I had to make its right child become its left child. So E's right child, when I do my right rotation, this became P's left child. Well, that ended up being pretty easy, didn't it? And again, how do you know what to do when? We could spend hours and hours. But here, you know, I had a 2 and a -1. I'm looking at balance combinations and, you know, what to come up with to see if there's a pattern. Haven't gotten to it yet. Took care of the A.
Well, what if you take the word and like get the middle word, like in case of specialty, when C, if C becomes the central or the root, and then once you have that divided accordingly, would that make the tree balanced?
I don't think it would. I think the right side would become extra heavy because the only thing that would be on the left side of C as the root is A. And then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters on the left. Okay, so coming back here, I did a rotation and a reattachment. L, where does L go?
To the right of I.
To the right of I. How are we doing for balance factors?
Terrible.
Terrible. What's E? E is -1. C is 1. A is 0. P is 1. I is -1. S is 0. So we're still good. T would go to the right. And finally, Y would go to the
Right.
right.
Oh dear
And
God.
yeah. Yeah. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. So yeah, this guy now has a balance factor of -2, and off we would go. So I'm thinking we're not going to finish this, but somehow or other, I think this can be done with a simple left rotation. This guy here is -2. If I did a rotation, I would move T up, S would go to the left, and Y would go to the right. E, C, A, P, I. I'm doing a rotation. So this is T. S is to the left. Y is to the right. And I still had an L to put in there. Does it succeed? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So this guy has a balance factor of -1, 1, 0, 2, 2, 0, -1, 0, 0, 0, and 0. So really, we didn't have to do much with the left, right, or right, left. Our problem came here when I said, okay, if I rotate the I, or the E, excuse me, the I has to become a left child of P. And that was our sticking point.